Hello! It's Ninja's Greetings here on YouTube and on Instagram, and let me take a second to say you're doing so well. I'm really proud of you. New Year's resolutions. Some of us love them, some of us hate them, but all of us know the crushing weight of realizing that in 12 months, we've achieved nothing worthwhile. That's why I'd like the two of us, or the group of us if you're watching with a friend, to do a little check-in with each other. If you want to hear the tea on how I'm doing on my own resolutions, you'll have to wait till the end. This is my video, and I'm allowed to procrastinate. Alright, things are going to get a little interactive. Take a second, pause the video, and find whatever notebook or document you've scribbled all of your ambitions onto. Go on! You got it? Awesome. Now that you have that, how about you read over all of your resolutions for me? There's a chance, technically, that you've actually finished one of your resolutions within the first 6 of the year, but most likely you probably haven't. Am I right? And maybe that doesn't feel good. Well, let's not worry about how many you've accomplished. I just want to know right now what kinds of tasks you've written down. To make things easy, I've come up with a few categories. Tasks that can be reasonably done in under a month will be short-term goals, and tasks that take more than one will be long-term. Tasks that have no definite end will be continuous goals. For example, drawing 3 images would probably be a short-term goal, while completing your portfolio would be a long-term goal, and drawing daily would be a continuous goal. Does that make sense? Moving on. I'd also like to create 2 more categories, concrete and nebulous. Concrete goals are things you know without a doubt when they are done, whereas nebulous goals are more opinion-based. You know when you've drawn every day, but if your goal is to improve at your skill, that would be more nebulous. These work together with the last 3 categories to form a pair of descriptors. I don't know if these are an actual thing, if people categorize goals like this or not, but I'm doing it because it makes sense to my brain. So there. Okay, I'm going to give you another sec to pause the video and put your goals into these categories. Go on, you've got this. Are you done? Awesome, you are doing great. You might have more than one category than another, or you might be evenly distributed across the board. While I think it's a good idea to have some of everything, I'm less concerned about that, and I'm more concerned about addressing some of the pitfalls within 2 of these categories specifically. In the next bit, I'll be talking about weight and general health goals. I'm not trying to encourage you to make these goals. I threw my own personal scale out years ago because the topic can be triggering for me. But they're super common, and they display what I'm trying to convey really well. If this is triggering for you, please skip ahead a little bit. If your goal is to hit a certain weight, you might instinctively put that down as a concrete long-term goal. However, if your intent is actually to hit this weight and maintain it, that's a continuous goal, because maintaining your weight is something people generally intend to do indefinitely. If your goal is to eat healthier, that would be a nebulous continuous goal, since eating well can mean a lot of things based on what your specific needs are. Do you see the pattern? When we talk about something like weight or health, usually these are continuous goals. I think what makes them so hard to keep is that people are treating continuous goals like it's something you couldn't break once and fail. I'm sure you've heard people talk about how, oh, it's the new year, and I've already broke my resolution to eat healthier, oh no. Now, I'm not a dietitian, I have absolutely no authority on the subject, but I'm pretty sure that one day of relaxing doesn't instantly mean that your entire diet for the rest of the year is unhealthy. Try to reframe what it means to succeed at a continuous goal. I'd say the point of continuous goals isn't to be perfect all of the time, but to try to form a habit that, by the end of the year, you'll keep moving forward. If your goal is to draw every day, you probably won't draw every single day. And that's completely okay. If you only drew once a week at the beginning of the year, and by the end you're drawing 3 times a week, that's something to be excited about. You shouldn't frame your improvements as failures just because you don't feel like it's enough. There's also a bit of a pitfall you run into when we're talking about nebulous goals specifically. The nice thing about concrete goals is that you know exactly when you've completed them. It gives me the same brain satisfaction that math does, where as long as you do the thing you need to do, it comes out correctly, and everything is great. But nebulous goals aren't that easy. When assessing yourself on a nebulous goal, you have to make the call whether or not you succeeded, and you have a bias. More often than not, this comes in the form of self-deprecation. If your goal was to improve at art, you might look at your first and last image, say they're both garbage, and throw them into a trash can. I think in this case, either specifying what in art you want to be good at, or asking for help from someone else could be a good bet. Of course, this can also go the other way, where you pat yourself on the back for something you didn't do. But if you dwell on it, you might just convince yourself that you're doing this when you're not, so don't think too hard about it. If you don't think your goals are realistic, if there's something that you wish you wrote differently, or if there's a resolution that you know you can no longer do, and having it on the page is just nagging at you, change it. Delete it. You are allowed to modify your resolutions, and I'm actually encouraging you to. If the current you has more knowledge about what you can handle than past you, why would you not use that to your advantage? I think this will help you create more reasonable goals, and when you create more reasonable goals, you are more likely to finish those goals. Wow! Even then, you're probably not going to accomplish everything on your list. But even if you accomplish 50% of what you wanted to, that's still 50% more hopefully good stuff you've got going on. This isn't a video game where you're trying to 100% everything. This is real life. There's already so much bad stuff in the world. Why put yourself down when you're the one who needs to support yourself the most? I know it's not that easy. A lot of this stuff has to do with your own self-esteem. But all I'm asking is for you to be just a little less hard on yourself, okay? And with that out of the way, I'm going to take my own advice and not be too hard on myself when I'm addressing my own resolutions. Hooray! You made it to this point. Or maybe you just skipped here, which is fine. Thank you for watching. I still really appreciate it. And now, without further ado, these were my resolutions for this year. They are: 1. Be happier. 2. Learn to listen to my body. 3. To have my wrist fully recovered, or to at least learn to function and be satisfied with what I can manage. 4. To be more confident. 5. To figure out what the heck I am doing from here. And 6. To finish editing my books. If you look at my list, you'll see that most of them are continuous goals, and almost all of them are nebulous, with the exception of the last one, to finish editing. I know I said that having a balance is good, but there's actually a big reason I did this, and that reason is because I usually have very concrete goals that are too much for me to handle. It would basically be to finish 10 different long-term projects, draw every day, and so on and so forth. And on top of knowing that that stresses me out, when I was writing these resolutions, I also wasn't sure what I would be able to do at all. That's what number 3 is about. If you want to know more about my experience with disability, feel free to check out my video about what happened to my wrist and how I ended up going from being someone who overworks themselves constantly to being unemployed for over half a year. All you need to know for now is that I fluctuate between being able to go about my day normally and being unable to draw for days, sometimes weeks at a time. Having goals that stress getting a lot of stuff done in a short amount of time are going to cause me to push myself and rush, which I know isn't good for me. So I only put 1, to finish editing the 2 books I wrote over text-to-speech when everything was pain and suffering. So, we're 2 months into the year. Have I finished my goals? Well, again, most of my goals are continuous, meaning that there's no finishing them. They're also nebulous, but I'll try to give you the best self-assessment I can. I might reconsider being happier in my resolutions, although I'm not going to do it yet. The reason why I'm reconsidering is because there's so much about being happy that's out of my hands. I have severe anxiety, and I've been diagnosed with depression. I go about a lot of my life not really feeling much except the constant state of I also have a lot of stressors where I live, which is something I can't change right now. Though, if you want to help me, you could, like and subscribe. It'll help push my video into the algorithm, which will in turn get me closer to monetization and make me better able to support myself. Isn't that cool and neat? On the other hand, there are things I can do that could make me happier, like taking care of myself, getting outside, doing fun things. All of these give me a better chance of getting to be happy. If I change this resolution, I'll probably replace it with doing more fun activities or something along those lines. For my second resolution, when I say I want to learn to listen to my body, I mean I want to learn to take care of myself based on how I'm feeling, mainly prioritizing eating and resting when I need to. I think I've been doing pretty well, actually. Learning to take breaks has been hard, but setting 20-minute to half an hour timers really helps. Speaking of which, as I am writing the script, I realized I have not done that today, so maybe I'm not doing as well as I thought. But I'm not going to be too harsh on myself. I was basically raised to put working over my own health, which is a hard mentality to unlearn. The fact that I'm taking breaks at all is a huge step in the right direction, and I'm going to choose to be proud of myself. Also, to go set that time. The third one feels more like a wish than a resolution, at least the first part. I can't choose to recover, that's not really a thing, and I very well might just delete that bit. What that resolution shows is that I was having a hard time accepting the fact that I probably won't be able to do things like I'm used to. I think I've taken both a step forward and a step back in that regard, because while I'm more satisfied with what I can do now, I think that's because I am actually able to do more now. And because of that, I'm starting to fall back into old habits of pushing myself through discomfort, wanting to do things like I used to. I'm getting a little too excited, and just because I could do things like I used to doesn't mean I should, because that's what got me here in the first place. So we're working on it, but we're definitely not there yet. The fourth one, being more confident. No, there's no progress done there, but then again, that's a really hard one, and there's a lot of other stuff I still have to process. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being something we can't complete this year, and that's okay, but I'm still gonna try. My fifth point was to figure out what I am doing from here. I'm still currently unemployed, and I've been taking time to focus on my writing and art, both at the recommendation of my therapist and the encouragement of my wonderful, amazing girlfriend. While it's been really good for me, going back to work has always been in the back of my mind. I could make money now, help support my girlfriend and I, and we could move out reasonably soon. But I don't think I would be happy. There are just a lot of factors involved, and honestly, I don't think I'm any closer to figuring that out yet. I don't think I could make a decision anyway until I saw for myself if the things I'm working on right now are gonna work out. Speaking of creative pursuits, my last point was to finish editing my 2 books. Writing a story has basically always been one of my resolutions, and the one I've never been able to finish, usually because I have too much work on my plate to focus on it. But now that I have free time, I've actually been doing really well. I allot 3 days a week to editing, and despite the fact that my first draft of my first book needs almost a total rewrite, I'm almost halfway done with it. I'll still need to check for grammar and spelling and all the other stuff, and hopefully we'll manage to scrounge the money to send it to a professional editor. But I feel like I could reasonably finish my first book within the year. Not both of them, but at least the one. So I've made progress on 2 out of my 6 points, but I'm not going to stress about it. Resolutions are made to improve yourself, and while being overly harsh on yourself might push you to do more work, it's going to hurt you in other ways. I think we're all looking for an overall self-improvement. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. Again, I just want to specify that I'm not an authority on New Year's resolutions or how you should go about achieving your goals. I'm just a person sharing their thoughts on the internet. If this mentality doesn't work for you, then don't take my advice. It's as easy as that. That said, this has been Ginger's Greetings here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye-bye!